Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Paint Table. This is my weekly show where you see what I got done, what I've been working on, and what is coming up. So this week, I painted a whole bunch of models for Kings of War Vanguard, which is the new warband skirmish game being launched by Mantic Games, as well as one of their terrain crates. The most recent one is a battlefield terrain set, which is some cool walls and encampment, all kinds of stuff to spruce up your battlefield. So I'm going to give it a try this weekend, so I wanted to get some stuff done for it. And of course, I got some more stuff for it coming up. A huge giant miniature, fantasy giant, and a bunch more terrain from their city center sets. You'll see more on the paint table, or some more details for the terrain crate stuff tomorrow in Witches and Wonders. But yeah, let's take a look at this new stuff from Kings of War Vanguard that got painted, and of course some new stuff that's coming up. So here's my Northern Alliance warband for Kings of War Vanguard. This is the starter set plus the support pack for it. There's a couple miniatures I haven't painted yet, but this is more than enough for the 200-point game size with a few options. So first we've got Tormund. He's he's gonna hate being called this, but he's my Thane, because Tormund hates Thanes. And he is one of your leader guys, your command troop basically. And I've painted an Ice Queen, which is your mage, your spellcaster, to go with the other group. She's an elf. Then I painted up a couple Huskarls, which are warrior types. These are what your army is sort of based on. What's cool is each of the miniatures has two build options. So like for the Huskarls, you can do a spear. There's two different heads. There's also a shield option. I haven't given them yet. Then I painted up, we're going to call this Princess, and Princess is my my throwing dog. There's no rules for it, but it's on the Spur of the Dwarves, so I just really wanted to paint it. An elf archer and a ice naiad, which is sort of like the dryads for Mantic, their universe Mantica, and so this is all like an ice pick and kind of a net. I painted up two trolls, again a cool second arm option, second head options for these that you can make in different ways. And these can be trolls or troll chieftains, but ice trolls. The big guys are kind of the Northern Alliance's jam. They get an extra big guy, where everyone else gets to take one for every 150 points. They get to take two. So I painted up both just so I can give them a try and also use them as a hero type. And then I painted a couple elf berserkers, because that's a thing, elf berserkers. And again, you get two build options for them. And I gave them some sort of blood tattoos. I used, after actually they were all painted and then sealed, I used some blood for the blood god and gave them some like daubs of blood, sort of like tattoo-y war paint. And then I painted up three dwarves. These are the old plastic Mantic dwarves from the original Kings of War line, and they still hold out. They're pretty cool. A couple of sword and shield or axe and shield fellas, and then some double-handed weapons. That's an upgrade you can take for them as well. And that's my first bunch of points for Kings of War Vanguard. I also painted, the knockdown dwarf, just as either a knockdown marker or as a objective, because of course the game Kings of War Vanguard is all about story-driven objectives. It's very cool. There's a whole bunch of them. There's 15 or 20 in the book. So like you're doing everything from like fighting a giant to rescuing a princess to all kinds of other stuff. It's kind of XCOM-y actually, and all of the stuff is story-driven. So we also have the the Night Haunts, the Night Stalkers box, which Owen is painting up. So he'll be my first opponent for this game, and we'll give it a go. And they're kind of like the extra-dimensional monsters, Cthulhu types, sort of possessed or infected whatever humans, and then the weird outer space cosmic monsters that come in the night. And then I painted up this terrain crate, which is the battlefield crate. It's 42 pieces. I painted a couple of the walls, actually. I didn't paint some extra stuff because I painted a couple of the extra walls that come in the city center pack as well. But I painted everything that comes in there. You get some cool campsites, so some tents. I'll talk more about this tomorrow, though. Little palisade, and then lots of walls and connectors. So the connectors here are just little posts that go in the end, which will help us finish up our battlefield, and then some rail fences, too, which is pretty cool. And some hedgerows. Also some signs. This one's from Dol Gregar to Lethamarac. These are all cities I grabbed off the Mantic map to just have some sort of like signposts. Valentica to Dol Gregas or whatever it is, and some campfires and splitting wood and all that stuff too. So lots of neat stuff. But we'll see more of that on the paint table tomorrow. Or sorry, now Witches and Wonders tomorrow. And here's some stuff coming up. So I'm going to paint the big riding beast. This is the other support mini pack, this big dude on a riding beast. Try and finish it up for tomorrow, just for some more options, or at least for the weekend. And then another support elf with a different head, another ice naiad with a trident this time to do the stabs. and pin folks to the ground. You might notice all of my Kings of War stuff is on round bases with squares underneath. The game does use square bases, but my fantasy miniature collection is all on rounds. So I added round bases basically, and then I've white tacked them to squares for games purposes. And that means that when I'm playing the game, I can use the line of start rules and the movement rules for Vanguard, but then if I'm using for something else, I can take them off their bases and just use them as I want, which is why I need to find a 75 mil round base for this Gigante, who is just like so huge. Like, he's so cool. He stands probably 8 inches tall, and he's got a couple different head options. I chose this one, that kind of growly head, and even arm options. There's a big sword, but I love this huge tree stump of a club, and then he's got a grabbing arm and a sort of palisade's been used as a shield arm here too, or a table or something like that. And of course the obligatory dude hanging off his belt. This guy's hanging upside down off his belt, and this little sprue is all full of arrows. So if I want to stick some arrows in the shield, which I will, he looks like he's blocked some arrows with it. So he's actually an objective marker for Vanguard, and I'm pretty stoked about that because there's a mission where you're trying to capture a giant. And you can't kill him, you can only kind of like push him around to your side of the battlefield, and if you end the game with him on your side, you count as having captured him. And then I'm going to start painting up some of the town center set. I've got some straightening to do. Some of the PVC stuff is a little bit bent, so I'm going to get some boiling water and straighten that. But the stuff that wasn't bent, I've already started just priming and base coating with some rattle cans. This is a chocolate brown. There's some more fence posts in there too. I need to paint for the rocky fences. Some hay bales, and this right here, there's a huge, like, almost like, I guess, there's a forge with all the bellows and stuff. And there's like a commissary. So all these are like shop stalls, and then some stocks, and all these little bits are like apples and the things to go on the shop store. So the tables actually have stuff that you're going to glue to them already. So what I'll probably do is I'll end up just gluing them right down and not making them modular, but there's like racks where you can put all the food stuffs. So you can use some whatever you want. There's fish and food and meat. There's like a town water pump. All kinds of neat little accessories. So this is like 70 pieces or something like that. And again, once I get it all painted, we'll feature it on the Widgets and Wonders rather. But yeah, that's what's up next. There's even a little gibbet and stuff where you can hang somebody. There's a whole bunch of like cool different scenario objectives and stuff. Some little palisades, drinking trough, crates, rubble, all kinds of stuff. So I'm pretty stoked to paint these. This will be the next round as I get stuff ready for Vanguard. Here's some airbrushed Night's Watch. Again, I'm using a very similar technique to what I used on my Death Watch. So it's black with the coal black by P3 over top of it, and then the same skin stuff that I'm using for the beasts over here I'm using for Ghost. I'm trying to break it into, I haven't actually airbrushed everything. I'm trying to break it into pieces. So I've done a Unit of Sworn Brothers, Maester Aemon, a Captain, and then John and Ghost. I'm going to try and get this painted next week. And that way I'm not trying to crush it a whole army in like 3 days, like I did with the Starks. The Night's Watch I'll actually spend some time and enjoy. And I think as I play Vanguard, I'm going to take a break from painting the Kings of War stuff once these 3 guys are done, and then move back over to some Song of Ice and Fire stuff. Really enjoying painting fantasy stuff this week. Taking a break from some sci-fi. I've been doing a lot of sci-fi stuff with Infinity, and of course 40K and stuff too, and stuff for Speed Freaks. So I'm kind of enjoying just collecting fantasy miniatures. Stay going on the paint table on the books. A whole bunch of stuff done. 45 pieces of terrain and 15 miniatures. 5, 10, 15 if we count the down dwarf. So yeah, 15 models this week, which is good. It was really nice again to take a break and do some stuff that's sort of like fantasy, and the objective stuff and the terrain stuff's really nice because it just sort of breaks up painting big armies doing stuff like this, because everything's different. You're painting a few models a day, and they're all kind of just like in different styles. And I love trying out new games. My favorite part of the hobby is getting ready to try out new games. So I'm really stoked to try it and fight against the Night Stalkers and see what this sort of fantasy XCOM has to offer. It's gonna be fun, so look forward to that. I guess Let's Play probably in the next 2 weeks. We'll see what the future holds, but I'm pretty sure we'll get done in the next 2 weeks, or get it to air in the next 2 weeks. And yeah, you'll see more stuff as we get the other objective pieces finished, like the giant and stuff for the bigger games. So yeah, tomorrow you get to check out the terrain crates. I'll talk a little bit more in detail about it and show you sort of how I painted it and stuff as well for the battlefield set for Mantic. So I'm pretty stoked about that. And until next week, we'll see you further on the paint tables. And I'm Ash. Happy wargaming. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.